Hello, everyone. Smoke time, and it's happening. The show is on. uh, I'll wait for a moment till we get a few more viewers in here. 211. Good evening, everyone. Such amazing, powerful times. We're all in here. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. And I'll just wait for a few more moments and yeah, that'll assist with anyone so you didn't miss anything prior. It's just me coming on smoking. Wait for more of you to get in a little bit. So, lots of all good stuff going on out there, everyone. And welcome and hi, everyone. We got about 40 in here, so that's great. I'll begin. 44, 49, awesome. Everything that is occurring, it's happening, it's great. It's what we all spoke of, what you could call in the Ascension communities, what they would call the conspiracy theorists, those groups. However, as we know, it's all occurring, which is so beautiful. Now, what has happened, as we know, and is that the reserve or the Marines, I just got to move something here. The Marines and the reserves, perhaps some veterans I heard today. Um, it's it sounds like Trump is calling in, let's say, all of the troops for martial law. That has been that call has been made to activate them and have them at least on standby to be called on a moment's notice. And I'd put up on this feed uh, uh, a video, I think, by Simon Parks earlier today that, gave us some credible information on that as well. Now, also, I wish to say that we knew that this would have to occur, a martial law, upon unsealing the rest of the indictments, because as we know, the darkness and the remnants of the darkness and the Kabbalistic ones or whatever, it's not all cleaned up yet, but it will get cleaned up through the process of unsealing the indictments and connecting and incriminating the rest globally, all connected to this, what is going on. So again, it's a process, and I was told that back in February. Also at that time, I was reminded the RV is imminent and that it's a transitional process. So, having said that, the stage is all set. I feel with this that, for martial law, for the Marines to be on standby, uh, we are, let's say, getting ready to unseal the indictments. However, I looked at a piece of information Sharon gave me today, and I'd like to get some more information on this. And if any of you watch, and perhaps put it in the comments, and I'll look a little bit later. But with the numbers, I glanced at it today. I believe it was 119,000 or so sealed, but there was this other figure of around 19,000 that showed up that said unsealed. Now, uh, I am uncertain at this time if that meant that a lot were unsealed or if these were just indictments that were there and not sealed. So I need clarification on that here in the future. However, where the number was below 120,000 sealed indictments, I had kind of anticipated that that number was around 140,000 a while ago. So I'll just scroll down the comments. Anyone get any credible info or confirmation on that? Don't see any. So, nevertheless, because of what is going on, martial law looks like it may need to be integrated to, keep order. And with the Marines being activated in the reserves, it's domestic, and this is important because that means it's civil and kept within the country, that it's not an outside deployment. It's actually for the civil unrest that may occur, and little bits of chaos. However, with this, we want the smoothest transition, so I do not anticipate too much chaos with it. Also, so having said that, the stage is set. Also for some of you that may be in part of the RV or in the currencies, again, one of the requirements or prerequisites for that was perhaps to have martial law instituted as, let's say, a cautionary measure. However, we're at a time that I don't feel we need caution for anything, because really the game is over and we're just integrating it. However, having said that, with the RV, there's a lot of repo, a lot of money being put into the banks, liquidifying them. So they're putting a liquidity in there. It's my feelings that the banks are getting propped up to the degree for several things. One is the RV, but also number two, which is upon martial law and perhaps some unrest inside of the U.S., there may be some bank runs to a degree going on, with ones to begin withdrawing some cash out as well. So to assure that it doesn't create panic as well, with all the ATMs being shut down because the banks really don't have money as part of this ridiculous process, that is also assured that there is enough there digitally that can be converted into the actual cash in your hands. And having said that, with martial law, as all of the community knows, and it's been preached for the last several years with this, that the banks could shut down for a period. The last I was given back in February, but also it was reiterated by council today again. And when I say council, it's a divine council, what I am part of and in contact with. It's possible there could be a 5-day bank holiday, if you will, too. So just having said that, I suggest for, just to have some cash on hand and a little bit of food supplies. Some in the past mentioned for a couple weeks, but again, I'll remain with 5 days if it does occur. I'm not given if it's going to be a certainty or not. For the most part, for the stronger ones, the more advanced ones that, let's say, have been more divinely involved on the energetic levels with assisting with making this happen, and the stronger co-creators. At this time, we wish for most of you at least, and everyone goes by your inner guidance, but to hold that higher space of what we wish to create, which is the world of complete harmony, void of all undesirable things like negativity and fear. And at this time, it's so important that we keep those of you that's holding the space of the new timelines, the co-creations, to remain focused on that and holding that intact. And for the stronger ones of you as well, that you create with your thoughts, so it's best for to keep up creating that new, and that'll assist while many, let's say, uncertain energies may be happening here on the surface, so that we keep a balance with that. So uh, you've all been prepared for this time, all of us. You've been informed, some of you for many years. You know exactly what is going on, and you know exactly what to do. So I'm just reiterating that yes, this is the time to keep everything to the highest out of the state of fear. As we know, there's nothing to fear with this. This is a divine orchestration as well. It's overseen by us and what you can say the angelics and the galactics. So we're going to keep this whole thing streamlined and a in an let's say an orderly fashion. We're going to go through this. So I don't really anticipate any let's say big resistances with this from the dark side. I really don't anticipate false flags to any degrees either, because again, with this, we are the omnipotent ones. We're putting it into the timelines. We pushed it forward. We're integrating it, and it's already been done. And there is nothing that can be changed to this coming to fruition by the resistance. So that's great. So let's keep, you know, it is also a great time that with you may have family or friends that are unawakened. It is a great time just to, not in an imposing way, but just mention to them, hey, it may be a great idea, just to know that things may get chaotic or may look like that, but it's not. Don't have any fear that everything's okay, that you know what's going on, and we're cleaning the whole planet up here, and this is part of the process to get it cleaned up and to pave the way for prosperity for all, harmony, and into the higher place of being, and also pretty much that, you know what to do. So we ask that for the highest, keep highest and higher even with it, and that's what we're doing there. So again, we are the ones uh, that have been, yeah, the ones we've been informed, for these times. Again, anyone that maybe sometimes go into little areas of doubt, it just reflect back upon your awakening, how everything occurred and how conveniently you were given information and how you came upon it. Nothing was by chance, and you know that. And if you see anyone slip and having doubt, no, please reassure them on this, that there is no mistaking what is going on. And because you are even watching this video or paying attention to the other Ascension communities, the awakening communities, no, this is factual. It's real. You've been you've been informed by the angelic realms. Many of you, under very profound circumstances, were showing the truth. You were awakened. And, with again, my awakening was going from a world from being pretty well a model citizen to boom, upside down overnight. And the Father taking me by the air and being tutored by the angelic realms, showing the other world that was concealed, the lies. And it was easy for me. I had no doubt when I was being shown the lies of what had occurred here, because my awakening at that point, I spoke to God, God spoke to me. I know who I am, and I was given my role and a lot, most, if not all, of my memory back that I need at this time. For it was different. There is no doubt, and that's why when I'm here speaking, I have no fear and I have no doubt because I do know what's going on, and I was awakened and informed in this physical vessel for a very important reason, and it is for these times. And I know more of you have as well. I've come across very impressive divine comrades that the same sort of thing had occurred with them to be prepared here for, this time. So this is not anyone delusional. It's everything factual, real, and true, and it's very beautiful. And it's beyond what perhaps many of us ever anticipated from a human perspective. But again, we're not human because of the importance of this mission. You've been given more of who and what you are, and you've been informed and you've been prepared for this mission to, let's say, sufficient degrees at this time. And this is why everything is beginning to fall in place with the sealed indictments, the RV, and all of these. It's because we have reached that certain level of vibration, but also any of you that still got inner work to do there to get rid of the negativity and fear, that empowers you even more. And again, as what I teach and many others throughout, we teach, get rid of all fear. And you get rid of that to the degree that you do not let it control you, that you actually control the fear and keep that on the outside. You keep it at bay. But what occurs once you become so strong, you don't even see any fear aspects in your reality. It's one of your keys for ascending, but it's one of the most important keys of ascending and transversing the timelines. You need to master the fear, and the fear can even be sadness, blame, guilt, worry, impatience. It's all of these things, and the way that you act and you respond and react to fear-based energies. So, okay, I'll get back on track. Woo! Um, One thing we're given here too is that, as we know, the galactics are here at this time, and but also the angelic realms, and also an army of you, a light army, if you will. So it's so many of us. So we have a ground crew, a sky crew, and then we have the head honcho, prime creator, right there, right above us as well, with the higher angelic, our angelic comrades that have stayed up in the etherics with us. Now, this is so important because at the time of the attempt by the light and John F. K. in 1963, and his term of office when he was assassinated. At that time, John F. K. We did not have upon the surface what we have here today, and even at that time, we did not have. Let's say in the interdimensional place in the skies, we did not have the presence that we have with this mission. This mission is ascertained and it goes forward and nothing stops it. This is the Ascension, and everything changed in 2012 with this. And there is no going back to the old dark ways. That paradigm is gone. We are going through the process to erase all of those energetic imprints, and it's been quite a process, as we know. With this, when I am in contact with the galactics as well, and I am a part of that, I will say, and a little bit that come through today was to remind some of you, and you may have seen this and been told this years ago when you were awakened as part of you being informed, that there could be what you call a false landings, or what appeared with that. And I'm only bringing this up now that all of you know what we are, and we know the galactic. So with anything with holographics or whatever, use your discernment features, and of course your heart. You can distinguish between what is real and what is not with this. However, what I was given today, that no ships will land right at this time, is what I'm given, unless absolutely necessary. But where everything is written, what I'm more so given, that there are no variables, that we may not have any landings during this time. And also, again, this is a transitional period, that most of us are here for this transitional period for perhaps a year or two, to assure uh, everything with humanity gets, um, let's say, secured where it needs to be in regards to advancing humanity, and even in the super consciousness aspect, the evolution of humanity, if you will, out of the primitive savagery that it was in here, and into the more productive, civilized state for ones to have that human experience in. Let's say the script here was getting old for the last couple thousand years, and no, we got to change it, and we did that. Um, Also in the U.S., there's many what you call patriots in the U.S. and that are backing Trump, and I believe I saw one figure the other day of perhaps 60 million. To let you know that it is quite an impressive number, of not only when you look at the Marines, but if you look at a contingent of 60 million patrons and connections, or patriots, sorry. When you look at that, it's things should go rather quickly and smoothly with it. Um, so again, with most of or with all of these patriots, have no fear to the degrees that you hurt uh, your fellow comrade, or any of those. So assure your utmost discernment in any of your duties, to just assure that everything goes smoothly and everyone's good and safe. Thank you. Much love to all of you. Um, the media. So, what's going on with the mainstream media? A little bit of info I've been getting is, I believe that'll be transitioned more, so that we are at the stages here where the public and the unawakened will need to be informed of what's going on, to quell the uncertainty and any panic that may arise. So, having said that, it's very possible that the mainstream media will be putting out more of the truth to the people. I feel and I believe we have reached that level in this ascension. So, having said that, your fake news like CNN and ones like that, yes, CNN's fake. I agree with Trump on that. These sort of ones, they may be phased out, could even be shut down, or they need to begin to inform the public of the truth. And also, this is in conjunction with what Trump's been saying and putting out. These are very serious charges, and even the censoring, like on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube. These are very serious charges at these corporations at concealing the truth. And let me just say with that, there's other measures being taken to assure that there is ample enough communication upon the surface globally. So I don't readily see social networks like this coming down, or us being censored, because it is now where we are needed more than ever on these social platforms, and many of you have been divinely placed on many to assure that during the transition of the news media getting the truth out, that we are there to create a sort of a cushion for ones that don't know what's going on. So your position upon the internet and social media is so important at this time. I had anticipated going for just a couple days in the woods to just relax and just get some other writings and things done up. However, that all changed. I need to be here at this time. And having said that, one of the things, again, that I contemplated uh, while I was in the woods was writing up more and organizing more on the sovereignty decrees. Now, also, there's a lot more that goes with that we have in other setting, not only for your own written sovereignty decree. There are many other instruments that we have that you apply against the corrupt governments and agencies and corporations, where you take liens, you write these, you record them even within their systems, and what it does, it's a stalemate or a checkmate approach on their systems as well, if we needed it, where you go in and you file and registered within their systems binding contracts that they cannot do anything with it, and you began placing liens. And the reason why these are so effective at this time is because the evidence that we have of the corrupt systems is incontestable, and it cannot be ignored when it's even put before their judges. The moment if their judges try to ignore this, it also incriminates uh, their judges, and also you just have more information to give to the public. You have the actual documentation. So it is nothing that they can do. But what I'm saying, what I feel at this point, and what I was given from council the other day, we may not even need any of this written up. That this may do it. We may not need your written sovereign decrees, and we may not even need to take that action to get the governments and the black ops and all that to back off. So we may not even need to do that. And I would love that so much. And I also feel that that's where we are at with this. You know, across Canada, we have the RCMP up here. Much of them have been informed. What you have is actually told not to go into this. But let's say uh, you should, with any law enforcement agency, only be running, or if you ever come into contact with them, they should be of the light. There should be very little dark resistance left in there, but that's another story. Um, okay, I'll get back on track here. Yeah, so you have the answers, you know, for around your communities, for your friends, your families. You have the answers, keeping your um, keeping your competent state, and with confidence, you know what's going on. Give that to them. You're a peer when you're comfortable, and say, no, this is all good. You know, that makes the difference, and it also uh, quells that fear energy we don't want them to be creating. So as much of the fear energy we can also take out of this event while it's transpiring, uh, the much more uh, quicker that it goes, and so much more fluently without any kinks or little bits of chaos. So that's so important again. Uh, at this time, also ones like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, uh, they should be released here very, very soon. And with Julian Assange, although the U.S. wanted to extradite him to the U.S. For charges, let me say with Julian, this may be, he is not a criminal as we know. He is a hero, and he was instrumental in supplying a lot of the documentation that reveals all of the corrupt governments and their actions. And let me say, anyone that does that, yes, he's a patriot too, a patriot to the world, in his role that he played. So, or that he plays. So it's very important to put that support there, and also perhaps put your energy there to assist with. I understand that he is locked up, perhaps in a jail. He needs to be released right away. This is not just, and part of this program, what's occurring. Perhaps we can get that done as soon as possible. And Edward Snowden, haven't checked on him today. I'm so busy with so many things that I was doing. I haven't checked. But anyone like that, any of the heroes that were instrumental in making this happen, you need to support them now, and for whatever degrees, get them out and assist and assure that they get out. Uh, okay. Uh, So also with the court systems, the present judicial systems, in the US and Canada as well, this is another reason why um, these all of these systems were compromised, but they were also set up by the resistance in the darkness. So these judicial systems cannot be relied on for any form of justice, because in actuality they have already voided, they are null and void, and they by the result of all of their actions, what they have done is they actually devoided themselves, or they have voided themselves, and on the other hand, they have enacted and empowered the divine natural law, which is uh, the supreme authority anyway. But what they did by their injustices in the other courts, they have now activated and empowered this higher court of the people, which is a divine natural law, which is much more simpler. So, as the course of their gross negligence uh, uh, with the people, they have actually activated and enacted our divine law, that it has supreme authority over them. So, this is also going on, and energetically. So having said the case of that, the tribunals, especially in the U.S., may need to be set up, but not only in the U.S., as this keeps going forward, dependent upon the degree of the amounts of ones that are charged, which are in the millions globally. It's very possible tribunals will be set up globally to deal with the mass criminal cases, if you will. But most of these are incontestable, as I said, and you'll go through them pretty quick. It should not be any lengthy trials, or that sort of a judicial system. It should be short and sweet. The amount of evidence compiled, as I said, is pretty contestable. So we'll see what occurs with the deliverance of justice and how it's done. Um, okay, RV looks like it's coming. Banks cashed up. Okay, for the divine mothers out there in your role as the co-creators from the mother aspect. I wish to say that going into what has occurred and leading up to this, that uh, the the process of you transmuting for the collective, but also for the masses, because of your connection to Mother Earth. So you divine mothers perhaps have been going through in the solar plexus area, is what I come to find out. And Sharon and I were collaborating on this um, a little bit earlier, and Sharon is, more informed on that topic when you get with the chakras and a lot of the energy and what's going on. So it's sometimes easier for me to consult with her to quickly get that information. But having said that, I'd also like to know uh, if how many of you divine feminine mothers, if right in your solar plexus, if you've been, let's say, transmuting a lot of energy there, perhaps even over the last couple weeks, because also what was going on energetically, you were transmuting and setting the stage for this very time. So, not what you were actually doing was cleansing and purging a lot of that fear and negativity out, even before this activating order of the Marines came into place. So you were lowering that fear aspect there by purging and taking that fear energy out of it. And as this comes in, it starts to come up. So more of you may be transmuting that energy and transitioning it. So I need to say that at this time in case there's more of you that maybe are feeling that right in your solar plexus, you're actually transitioning some of that energy for us. And because you are the ones to do it, it's what you have activated here at this time to assist. So that's one of your divine tasks. As for I've been uh, highly charged, and my focus has been on what I'm doing and the other things. And I felt great. And that bed, when I get out of it, sometimes use the washroom in the night, it's just all sparking wherever I touch. So but this is because of my um, my role here to play in it. So we all have certain tasks to do, and sometimes it's individual tasks. So much love to the divine mothers that are doing this and transmuting this energy for us at this time, and in it a more leveled fear, a more level field that we don't get into that fear. So much gratitude to all of you that are assisting on that level as well. So great, pretty well went through it. Do we got any questions down here? That's all I got wrote down for now, so that took long enough. Leslie Louise, she says, last week I was a passenger in a speeding vehicle. We were pulled over. The officer came back and said, I'm not going to ticket you ladies today. Just keep it under 120. And that would be kilometers up in Canada. So, and she said to the driver thereafter, is this the fifth dimension? I got to scroll here a bit to see if Leslie, if you put the reply, but gee, as soon as I start scrolling, there's so many comments here that the way this is set up, I lost that. But Alison Clausen, I saw that I thought I saw a comment there that said you were wrongly convicted or free. Um, Excellent question, and thank you for that, Allison, because something to that respect, come up here several days ago, that during this transition, uh, with the judicial systems coming down to a degree and being changed for whatever purpose they will deliver to the publics here in the future is not totally clear to I at this time. However, within these systems, the way they are, as I said, they're actually void, and they have nullified um, themselves as a justice system. Now, however, there is what you can say the de facto judicial systems, meaning that if you give your consent to them, that they will or may still apply to a certain degree. Now, this is a touchy subject because we are amidst of the transition with these judicial systems collapsing the way that they were and with the new coming in. So, having said that, I cannot fully answer that because it's such a gray area with that transition of how it will go. But let me do say this, anyone that was wrongly convicted that did not physically harm anyone, yeah, um, they would have to be freed indeed with this. And, also to affect that, you're seeing in the past, let's say from the 3D, 4D world, you're seeing many mounting cases to that effect and to every degree upon the judicial system. So again, it has to. And and also very quickly getting back, like with a country with their judicial system, even though they're part of the UN, uh, no one can enforce the laws of the UN, which is like an umbrella over the countries, but also the UN does not enforce anything or get involved in a country and any disputes between its people. So, having said that again, and Interpol, that is only that is not a police service. A police service. They have no agents that can enforce laws either. So, what occurs when you have such a tyrannical action within countries is that again, you don't have the UN, you don't have the international law. There is really no one to force to enforce the laws with that. So again, what you do is you fall right back upon the individual's country's judicial system, and when it's unjust and when you have such a backload of evidence, what is here with like judges being compromised, lawyers, uh, enforcement officers, regulators, when you have such an incontestable evidence within the country, it collapses that system. And again, it enacts more or less the sovereign law, which operates under divine law and natural law. And it also, what it does, it creates a de jure law or the supreme law as well, meaning that, it's all encompassing, and it does the opposite with the judicial systems, making it, again, de facto. And once everyone knows that you do not need to comply with something that is against your own better judgment and your justice in receiving justice, I should say, well, you don't need to consent to that, and it cannot, to the degrees, impose itself upon you, because the more it does, the more laws that it breaks, the more that it tears down any accreditation or credibility it ever have and had, and then you're equipped with even more evidence to give to the public. See, the key is the people have the power. It's just being standing together and being informed. And over the course of the last several years, more and more every day are informed of what's going on. And again, it's imminent the way it was. It has to uh, quickly implode or change. It has no choice. And to what degrees that occurs or the timing on that, I don't have it. However, again, it's imminent and it does occur and it is occurring. So I'll scroll down here, see what we got. Someone said, yeah, okay, thank you, ladies, mothers, divine mothers, yeah, solar plexus, purging and recalibrating, yeah, yeah. Stephanie Harris said, yes, lots of solar plexus purging and recalibrating. I believe there's a recalibration uh, procedure where on the sternum there that you can pound on that sternum below your rib cage, and that causes a certain vibration while you're um, humming or om, and while you're doing that, not also with you ladies, with you mothers, or it may assist at balancing your energetic field as well if it gets a little bit too uncomfortable or wacky or out of line for you. That will tend that vibration, and by doing that motion in that area on your energetic field, it tends to stabilize again. So you may wish to do that. Now, I know I quickly just went over that, and I could better explain it if I wrote it all out. However, uh, you always have what you need, and just go and look it up. I believe it's thymus pounding or something of the sort. So just have a look at that, or in the solar plexus area. Okay. Yeah, Jody says she got sparks too. Yeah, way to go, girl. We're all energized. Lots of cool stuff. Um, got lots of comments here, everyone. So, Eva Fenn, she's still informing people about problems about 5G and AI and on Stop 5G Denmark. Um, but she says, but it is difficult without people getting afraid. Any suggestions? With this, when you ever you see any fear, you're most powerful, Eva, at coming in with more of the light, no fear approach, and just putting that there, and they see that, and you act as a peer, and inadvertently you don't need to confront the fear itself or work at that. By choosing to do it the higher way, you alleviate that. So that is one suggestion with that, to alleviate the fear. Keep taking the higher approach, and know that uh, these certain crimes cannot continue, and inform the people we have all these resources. It's imminent, so we're doing it, and however long it takes, that's how long it takes, but it cannot go into the futures. It's that simple. And anything that harms a physical body or a human, that doesn't go into the future. So we'll see what occurs with the 5G. But there's another kind of a twisted thing with that I won't get in here too with the 5G. But also, as others mentioned, the ones that know how to do it, recalibrate your energetic fields in whatever way you're guided to, whatever you receive as a way to do it. I strongly suggest to do it so that you're not influenced uh, by these EMFs, microwaves coming from things like 5G, Wi-Fi, smart meters, you name it, all these energies. So whatever you need to do. And having mentioned that, it's I was on after I did my last live the other day. I did jump on with Neo Devaney and a lady, and they were speaking about the toroidal field and how they activate that, and what it does then you put yourself in a different space where you're not affected by these EMFs and things. So there's so many ways to do it. If I need to do it, I just raise my platinum shields, what I called, and you're not readily affected by those on to that degrees. So there's so many ways to do it. So I'll scroll down here and see what we got and have a look at timing. John Michael Razin, could it affect banks in Canada regarding the problems in USA with Trump? Yes, it can. I suggest for anyone watching this to have a little bit of cash out on hand. It may be great because, again, whatever goes on with this transition and for the banks too, it's very possible. I am not given the extent that everything has been cleaned up. So within the banks, the judicial systems. So I'm just saying, as a precautionary measure, just to have some cash out. Yeah, no matter where you live at. I mean, we can go back to the bank runs that were happening, ever since 2010 and what occurred in Cyprus and, some of these European countries where ones had lost all of their money, more or less, and some might have only got pennies on the dollar, 10%. So when these bank runs occur as well, it's good have a little bit of cash out. But also, having said that, there is no huge area for concern if you have um, lots of money, let's say, in a bank or what have you. Now, investments are a little bit different because what's going to be occurring is that the total stock markets and the way they operate, they are not foundationed in any merit whatsoever, because the banks, because it can be manipulated so easy, and it was always the banks, for example, the banks are also market makers. They put trading volume into a stock. They can take it from zero to $1,000 in the blink of an eye, and they can take it from $1,000 a share to zero in the blink of an eye. And it's because of that, and because the regulators are also a part of the stock markets and also the governments with all of the pensions and all of this in, because it's all a big game, the stock markets need to come down, and there will be no commerce or business section with stock markets in the future. The whole transition of the monetary policies and the way money temporarily works, it will not contain a system of investment. Investment is not required when you have access to infinite money and when there is no debt. So it's nonsensical to complicate a financial system that has no debt, and also that has no requirement to save for a future. You are on an infinite system that is in the now, and it's an unlimited supply of money or finances on a temporary basis until humanity phases out of the requirement for any monetary exchange, which is not needed. If we were allowed to put all the technology out right now in the blink of an eye and to introduce what's coming, you don't even really need it now. Many of you have been activating and accessing your own divine manifestation abilities in the universal flow to have what you need now. But with such things as an all-encompassing QFS, and in the near term and in term, there will be basic incomes that are going to be introduced here for everyone as well. And on the lowest levels, housing issues, and all of these things are going to begin to be eliminated as well. So, there will be places for everyone. And one of the reasons for this is that all the foreclosures, let's take the US, the millions of foreclosures that occurred there and people lost their homes. What's occurring is that a bank will not need to have any collateral as